Hello and welcome to DDOCast episode 688, recorded live on Sunday, October 9th. I'm your host, Patrick. With me this week, returning to the show, it's been a minute, Draculetta.
It has been a long time, actually. How's it going?
Busy. We've been
I,
we spent the first 10 minutes of
exactly.
our time to do a show catching up, because, it's been like that.
Exactly. And we're like, we should probably record this podcast that we were going to do, huh?
eh,
That's probably what
yeah.
we're here to do, but yeah, it's fine.
And there's talk about. Hey, good news is we talked about. Hey, like we're gonna get back to that leveling thing we were doing.
We are.
And
I'm
then I
excited.
can drag Drac through a bunch of raids.
I'm excited.
So that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, because you still haven't even run like Strahd and stuff.
No.
We gotta
And that
fix
was
it.
the whole point of this whole thing in the beginning. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And then of course, life. And
All too well. All too well.
we were talking between the two of us in the last, what is that, 7 months, have had 3 computers die. So
Yeah.
great. Technology's
Great.
awesome. This week's screenshot, Dragon Shadow and Tone Deaf discuss the hunt hounds they've encountered on the hardcore server in the 568th screenshot of the week. Thank you, Dragon Shadow, for sending in this week's screenshot. Nice little shot there. We like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can catch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums, iTunes, or from our website at DDOcast.com. DDOcast is hosted by Cyber Ears, the awesome podcast hosting network, and shows are usually available within a few days of recording. The next show, I should just stop prognosticating when the next show is going to be, because I'm doing a really lousy job of this.
I feel you, man. I feel you. I feel you.
Okay, so let's peel back the curtain a little bit. One, the game news has not exactly been free flowing, so that has been felt a great amount of pressure. Two, I've just been working a lot, and finding time. It's not that DDOcast is work, but it's not entirely free time either. So, there's some of that playing into it. There's other things going on in my life that are just making that I'm more focused on than DDOcast right now. Hey, Staying Zone games, give us more things to focus on. That might help things a little bit. Good stuff, not the dear Lord, the banks are breaking and we have to take the servers down for a day and a half. But the good stuff. So look, it's just gonna continue to be a little crazy, probably at least through the end of the year. If I'm being honest, at least through the end of the year, things are gonna be a little crazy. And I'm gonna try to do a better job. And I'm sorry, I'm a terrible producer this year. Drac knows how it goes though.
It's like listening to the thoughts coming out of my own brain right now. I understand.
Yeah, but we'll still be doing shows. Try to keep on top of things. You can stay updated with following us on social media and our calendar, which again I've been less good at, but there you go. Anyways, on the podcast this week, we had a little bit of game news. We didn't do a show last week because there was no game news and all of the things I just said. There's some more stuff this week. We'll talk about the patch that came out, and that'll be fun. We've had a long tradition on DDOcast, even before I was the host. If you can remember that far back, where we talk about Gencon. People actually host the show used to go to Gencon and stuff, and a lot of people that have been involved in the show go to Gencon. So in an effort to get a show in last minute, Drac was gracious enough to come and say, hey, he's going to come on and talk about Gencon this year. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Before we do that, we'll talk a little bit about game news. And the wealth of game news that has been coming out in the last 2 weeks, which there hasn't been a lot. Probably the most important thing to note is that you may recall there was this downtime because they broke the banks and it was just a mess. So they did a rollback with that. And whenever they do a rollback, there's always this problem of people usually have bought things in the store and used points during that rollback window, but the rollback takes that stuff away from you, but doesn't refund your points. That's kind of the gist of it. Or at least if it does, they don't have it automatically or something like that. But in any case, it took them a few tries, but now they have said that the point purchases have been refunded. So if you are for some reason don't have that refunded, get in touch with customer service. I'm sorry for the probably 1 month wait you're gonna have to get those points back. But I think they got it all figured out. So just crossed. I haven't seen anyone posting like, "Hey, I don't have my points after this last round." So that's good. Other thing, Night Revels began this week on Wednesday, October 5th. It's going to run through November 1st. I think, Drac, this is like your favorite
It is.
festival, yeah.
I do. I love the Night Rebels, yes. So I'm excited.
I would probably say it's my favorite as well. Although that has less to do with the fact like what it is and more to do with the fact that there are like 10 challenges during that time frame and you can get a crap ton of XP out of it.
Yep. You
So
sure can.
like that. But it's like I like the variety. Crystal Cove, it takes a while. Like it's what, 20 minutes? It's been a while since I've actually run it. It just takes a while to run it, so I find it less interesting. I like that like these are nice and short. They're thematically really nice. Like they look great. Could use a new one, a new rotation or dungeon, or like it's been a while since they've made a new one.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking this year they were going to come out with a new one, but they didn't.
Shocked. Like,
I mean, I guess parts of me were thinking, oh, we might get a new one. Maybe they snuck one in, but yeah, no.
I mean, at this point, I think we can all agree that SSG does not have an abundance of bandwidth and manpower.
Right.
To make things to its detriment. Now, having said that, I feel like at this point, Night Revels needs a nightmare. Like, it just seems like something that should be part of Night Revels to me. But yeah, it's running through November 1st. And hey, so this is interesting. Because there was, with the rollback, that impacted hardcore, but they didn't, and there were the like, hey, we're sorry bonuses, which didn't go in hardcore because hardcore's long had the stance that they are not going to do festivals and special stuff on hardcore, except, they did the Mimicon, but that was like the theme, right? Like that was the bit. That's what was going on. So that makes sense, right? Well, a bunch of people was like, hey, but like, we got to roll back too. And So they actually the weekend we didn't do a show, so last weekend they actually put those bonuses on hardcore, which is pretty much the first time that's ever happened. I think there was actually like there were some before that like kind of stuck in there, like maybe a VIP XP bonus or something. And personally, I think that was fine. XP helps you get to level 20, but that's the only benchmark for reward for hardcore that's really going to give you any benefit to, right? Like, you're doing a favor run, 25% XP isn't doing a whole lot of good.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, it's not like it's going to help you that much other than, like you said, the level part of it, but...
There was a loot increase, although I think it was just a random thing, not a named loot part. Which, to be fair, in hardcore is a lot more beneficial than on the live servers.
True, yes.
Although I did get a really cool random loot gen ring recently. I don't remember what was on it. It was like necromancy focus, insightful intelligence, I want to say, and false life, and I think it had like a fourth thing on it. It was a really good random loot gen ring for like a niche build, but it was pretty cool. Anyways, so they put the bonus in there. They also put Night Revels on hardcore, which is a really interesting choice.
I saw that on the forums and I thought, I wonder if that was on purpose or if that was like oops, we didn't turn that flag off.
No, I think it's on purpose because they have to actually turn the flag on. It's not
That's what I thought. Yeah.
So where is this coming from? Look, there was some debate on the forums of, hey, we're running hardcore now. You're putting Night Revels out? What the hell? Like, conflicting interests here. And, Cordovan replied and said, look, like, hardcore is not going to change our calendar for other things. We're still going to do festivals when they happen. We're still going to do other things when they happen. The sales, the bonus days and stuff, like that's all going to happen on its normal schedule. Hardcore is just going to be in its own little world, and it's going to happen, and it's going to be concurrent with these other things you know and love. Well, look, that's not exactly exciting. But so they turned Night Revels on, which means you can run hardcore and get keys and stuff. And because you can transfer off of hardcore at any time for free, you can just make a character and send those keys over to the live server and go run the dungeons there and get the ingredients or whatever, right? Pretty cool. I don't really know why you'd run the dungeons on hardcore. I guess, well, look, there is some loot that you can get out of it that maybe you want on hardcore. Sure, fine. Okay, great. I did see Eternity kill someone this weekend.
No way.
Yep.
That's amazing. Why would you
Like,
even do that? Why?
well, so it was a mid-20s character. I'm assuming they were running him for XP. Which, okay, sure. If you want to run from 20 to get from 20 to 30, because you're probably not. If you're running favor, you probably already got it by the time you get to 20. So if you're in the epics, it's really just a race to get up to 32, so you can run Reaper, get Reaper XP. So, and like we said, great XP. But apparently Eternity can kill like a level 23 or something like that. So, whoopsie. In any case, so you can run Night Revels on hardcore, and I think that's fine. Like, you want the XP, fine. Like, that does it help you get those benchmarks? Yes, in the sense that if you're trying to get to level 30 and run Reaper XP, sure. Or if you're just trying to get to level 20 so you can get the cloak, sure. But look, there's plenty of options there, and I'm also at the point of, okay, these rewards or these benchmarks are a little dry at this point. I've done them, like, this is the 4th time I'm doing a favor run out of 6 seasons, so I'm kind of ready for it to either be something new or just maybe not do hardcore for a while. I don't know. Maybe I'm taking blasphemy here, but I'm guessing your hardcore season's going fantastic with as much free time as you have.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still
haven't
alive?
Even logged in
Haven't died
once. Yet? Sure, because I haven't even logged in once. So
yeah. Died yet?
I was really gonna do hardcore this year. I was gonna try this year, but yeah, no, life and everything. So
it wasn't my favorite tune, but it was a character that I was ostensibly going to take up to 30 and try to run Reaper XP at cap with some people doing that. The first iteration of that did die, which is I've died a few times on hardcore, but that one was it was in the lightning trap of on 5. I got double tapped, and survived the first one. Did not survive the second one. Ouchies. Those traps that hit twice, those are the ones you really got to watch out for.
Yeah.
Well, no, they are. Like, they're not. I actually took a moment to message a dev because they do like to. Hey, as you're on hardcore, what stands out as not balanced, right? Like, that conversation has happened and changes have made. So I said, hey, so this zapped me twice and boom, dead. Ow.
Yeah, you might want to look at that.
Yeah, and the response was basically like, oh, yeah, traps that hit twice, not really tuned super well. Because usually traps are tuned to hit once.
Yep.
So
One and done.
Twice,
right?
oofies. In any case, so there's Night Revels. Hardcore ends. I keep asking the 23rd, I think, something like that. Couple weeks. You have a couple weeks left, so get a move on, folks. Talking to myself here too.
With Night Rebels, there is a new cloak and a horse this year, though.
This is true.
That is
and
new
a shield
this year. And yeah, and the shield.
The cloak is a standalone one. It's like a skeletal bones kind of thing. Like the cheesy costume that people have that's like, it's a black unitard that has skeleton bones on it. It's like that. Uh,
I said on the podcast that I recorded last week for DDO players, thank Karate Kid and Johnny, and that's what the skeleton looks like.
yeah. And then there's the horse, which looks pretty badass, actually.
I love that horse. That's what I'm
Yep.
going for this year.
Yep.
Definitely is the horse.
Agreed. Also a shield. Um, they showed it in blue. I haven't actually checked to see if it's in all the colors. I assume it's in all of the colors.
Yeah, I would assume it
'Cause
would be too. It looks pretty cool. I don't have a shield user, but it looks pretty cool though.
yeah, if my tank used to wear the Night Revel's armor, he is not anymore. So if I have ingredients, I'll buy it. I'll buy a shield. If not, I'm probably not gonna worry about it. So we'll see. You can always get it the next time around, right? Let's see. That'll take us to update 56, patch 3. This was released on Wednesday, October 5th. Basically just bug fixes. So they corrected an issue that was causing players' shared bank custom tabs to reset when logging into a character that had not yet done a versioning done on it after update 56.2, which restored items that were previously invisible. However, this fix requires a versioning change.
Oops.
Meaning that players' shared bank account custom
Oh
tabs will
dear.
be reset upon login after the release of update 56.3. They anticipate that no further work will be required in the near future that would cause players' tabs to need to be reset. They apologize for the inconvenience. I think this is like the 5th time that this is it's been reset. No, it is shared bank, not your character bank. But you'll probably have to resort things in that bank if you need to. Supposedly that won't be happening for a while. I feel like I like that the banks have the tab stuff. That's pretty neat. I'm not sure how much I'm going to use it. I might wait. Like I'm not entirely convinced that they're not going to need to reversion this and reset everything in the near future.
But remember, they don't anticipate that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they didn't anticipate bringing the servers down for a day.
Right, exactly.
Look,
So I would think long and hard before I do it. But that's just me.
I am familiar with this phrase of we don't anticipate. I work in the entertainment industry. We do a lot of things we didn't anticipate.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I might wait a little bit. And knowing my luck, I'm going to wait for 6 months and then actually make tabs and then they're going to reversion it and I'm going to redo it. But, like the search functions are great, so I'm going to live on that. In any case, the archetype selection menu is now present during character generation to prevent players from accidentally skipping the stage where they select their archetype if they choose to do so. I have not built an archetype, but my understanding in what's going on here is it was hard to find how to pick an archetype in the character generation. Like, I want to be an archetype. Wait, I'm all the way to the end and I didn't pick an archetype. What happened here? Then you got to go back and figure it out again, right? I think that's what's going on there. The button to upgrade your character bank is now in its correct location. Whatever that means. I saw it before this update. I thought maybe that was not true. I don't know.
I swear I did
No,
too.
I
So
did.
I was super confused. Yeah, I am sure I did.
I think it was at the bottom before. Maybe it's now supposed to be at the top or something. Whatever. Apparently they put it in the wrong spot. Oh, there it's there. Shadow Blades.
Oh, Shadow
This
Blades.
is the gift that keeps on giving with the release notes these days.
It sure is.
So the note is that the Shadow Blades have been removed from players' reincarnation cache, allowing players to shoot an iconic reincarnate again. That wasn't entirely accurate. Okay, so down the rabbit hole of the Shadow Blades, which has been causing a lot of problems. The basic gist of what I've been able to understand from Humble Fryer, who is a new dev who has been trying to work on this, Shadow Blades apparently get created in main hand and offhand varieties, and that little detail was not caught until recently. Supposedly, there's according to Humble Fryer's post, this is going to get fixed by Wednesday, which look, when I read that as like, okay, we're going to do a hot fix at least the next time they bring the servers down for the weekly restart. Whether that's Wednesday or Thursday, that kind of is up in the air sometimes with what else they have going on. But in theory, this fix is coming. They've identified the issue of what has been giving them problems, and we should have Shadow Blades out of your reincarnation cache, so you can reincarnate because you can't pull them out. It's just the problem. Although I was running like, would it be easier to just make it so that you could pull them out of the reincarnation cache? Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? The last note: if a chat connection error occurs when loading into the game, the retry will now happen in 1 minute, as opposed to the 5 to 10 minutes it was taking. Yeah, that's why it was taking so long to re-establish connection. So, nice. Let's see. There was a question on the forums. Crystal Cove and Night Revels do not give legendary XP. So the Linabelle responded to this, saying that the simple answer is because it's the same bug. Behind the scenes, they are checking the quest level of the dungeon and seeing if it's above or below level 30. But challenges have erroneously been checking the baked-in level, as in the lower bound of the level range, instead of grabbing the instance level off of the instance you're actually in. So some of these dungeons need to be added to some exclusion list or something similarly as singular. It's that the entire system has a single central problem that they need to fix. And then all of challenges will grant appropriate XP, which is why the same bug is present in multiple events. They share a system, so the bug is shared between them. The good news is they found and fixed that centralized problem and are hopefully going to get it out to folks sooner rather than later. Hey, maybe on Wednesday. They'll have more information on the timing when they have things more finalized on their end. So, hey! Let's see. The night store sale / bonus days. So the bonus days is Night Revels. So there isn't another bonus day this weekend as far as I have seen. The sales rise again, 25% off of select reincarnation items, healing items, spell point potions, quest XP elixirs through October 13th. You can also get a free lasting potion of bark skin +3. You can get 5 of those. The coupon code is 5BarkSkin. Seems like one of the most appropriate weekly coupon codes I've seen in a long time. I think that pretty much wraps things up. Hey, Drac, you want to talk about Gencon?
Yeah, Gencon happened in August.
Yeah.
Yay.
Talk about Gencon 2022, because it happened.
It actually happened, surprise, which I wasn't sure there for a while, but it did happen.
Kind of confident it happened.
Was the 55th anniversary of Gencon 2, so the 55th year, which is crazy to think about. It's been going on that long.
Clarifying question: did they count 2020?
No.
Okay, so 55th, not counting 2020.
Right, correct.
And remind us. So 2020 was the year that it was just online because
correct. It
pandemic
technically didn't happen. Correct.
Yeah. And 2021 happened ish, right?
Ish. Yeah, it was very scaled down. Happened later than it was like in September. It was very, very scaled down. They capped attendance. It was still a thing, but it was a weird thing.
And no vendor came.
It was very like 20 of the major vendors bowed out, some of the smaller ones, but so it was really small compared to what Gen Con usually is.
But this year, 2022,
not this year.
Back.
It was back, and it was like full-blown Gen Con craziness. The attendance, they didn't give an exact number this year, which is weird because usually they give the exact number. It was over 50,000 is the attendance that they gave.
That seems kind of vague.
Yeah, I'm like, so why are you all of a sudden now just saying, oh, it was over 50,000? Because usually they say, hey, there was 51,300 people or whatever the number is. But yeah, this year it's over 50,000, and it seemed like there was 50,000 people there. because it was back to Gen Con of old where you were bumping into people, you were standing in lines everywhere. You had to figure out how to maneuver in the actual main exhibit hall because there was so many people. It was insane, and they even had the mask requirement and the vaccination requirement this year. So you had to prove that you were
Right.
vaxxed to be able to go, and that's why I figured, attendance might be a little low because of that. No, it was insane. And it was Gen Con of old. The on Wednesday, which is technically before it even starts, it technically starts on Thursday. On Wednesday, I was in the exhibit hall because that's when I went to get my vaccination. They were giving you wristbands once you proved you had to wear a wristband, so they could tell that. And then I got my press badge on Wednesday as well. The line for the will call to get anything that you had in will call was about 3 hours deep.
Oof.
And that was on and it's been a long time since, like, in 21 you could just walk right up to will call and get your stuff. But because I stopped and talked to a couple of people and they were saying, yeah, they've been in line like 2.5 hours and they're just barely moving. So Gen Con was back this year for sure. It was insane.
So, some clarifying points that I think help some people who maybe are new to
Sure.
the podcast, barely know what Gen Con is. Actually, on that point, like maybe give like 15 seconds. What is Gen Con? That's one.
It is the largest and longest running tabletop gaming convention in North America. Started by Gary Gygax. It started as a wargaming convention, and then it kind of morphed into what it is now.
And it's in Indianapolis.
Yes,
Right.
for
For now.
now. That's a whole other issue.
Yeah.
But for now, yes, it's
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Indy.
It's
Started
been there a
in
while.
yeah, it started in Geneva, Wisconsin is where it started. And then it moved to Milwaukee for a while, but it's been in Indy for quite a while.
Yeah. Indianapolis loves it. Big revenue stream for them, especially like the restaurant, hotels, stuff. Like they probably go in the black on that weekend alone.
$58.4 million this year.
Yeah. So we're talking about like some of these numbers, and do you remember what it was in 2019?
No, not off the top of my head.
Because I think it's small. It's still smaller than 2019 was, right? Like, was it 2019 like pushing 70,000?
No.
No.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. You 19. Sorry, I thought you were talking about 21. Yes, in 19 it was like 72,000 people, something like that. It was over 70,000.
Right. So it's
It was
smaller.
still smaller, but it didn't feel like it. It was what Gen Con normally is.
And were they? Because a couple years ago they started using like the stadium was it Lucas Oil Stadium?
Lucas Oil, yep.
Yeah.
They use that this year as
Right.
well.
Did they use that in 2021?
Yes.
Okay. So that's great. So we like to hear that.
Yes.
Especially me coming from entertainment industry, and you wouldn't know it, but conventions are a big extra driver in that economy.
If you to get a grasp of what it's like, all of downtown, all of the hotels, Lucas Oil, everything is Gen Con for those 4 days. You
Yep.
can't go anywhere downtown and you're not going to run into something that is Gen Con because there's events in all the hotels. There's, like I said, they take over Lucas Oil. They have events that you can play in Lucas Oil. You can actually go on the football field itself. Of course, it's covered, but game library is in Lucas Oil. So if you check a game out from the library, you are playing a board game on the football field, which
Kind
is
of fun.
it's pretty sweet. It's a pretty sweet feeling, actually. And then, like I said, all of the local hotels are over. Just
Yeah.
it is Gen Con for 4 days.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I've always kind of said like we'll know that the economy is like the U.S. economy is kind of back on track. I think one of the benchmarks for me has been conventions because it's a lot of people traveling to different locations because there's conventions all over the world. Jumbie just put in our chat. Comic-Con 2022 is in New York at the moment. I'm assuming that's like New York Comic-Con, not the one that's in San Diego. Like San Diego?
Right. Yeah, that's
San Diego
that's
Comic-Con.
not actual the Comic Con, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But no, that's great. But you get a lot of those conventions. People go and travel and stuff, and that drives a lot of service industry, right? Hotels, restaurants, a little bit of tourism with those. So that's a big thing there. But more importantly, than the one that like the public goes to, are actually the private ones. A lot of private conventions, like Microsoft does conventions. I'm sure Apple does that. Like, um, there's just big medical conventions that only medical professionals go to, that are like the size of PAX. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Having worked a few of those, but in any case, so it's great to hear that those are, this was successful. I think like all these other ones, like it's coming back, which is great to see.
It
Um,
is.
so with setting that aside, the comparison of so what are maybe like the three coolest games you saw there, and maybe like two other like wild card things that you want to talk about?
Oh wow. Okay. Three
I give you
coolest
easy
games.
questions, don't I?
Yeah, sure. That's easy if I can think back. Because yeah, I actually have like some videos and stuff that's going to be coming out. But remember how at the beginning of the show we talked about computer
Uh-huh.
issues? Yeah, I
Hey, at least
none
your
of my
camera, your videos survived this year.
that is true. That is very true. That was a thing that happened in the past too. There is a miniature skirmish game called Mythic America. That was pretty sweet. It's basically think of like all of your like chupacabras, your wendigos, werewolves, things like that. That's what you're battling in the game. It's got really high detailed miniatures. That was pretty cool. There is a Cthulhu based game where it's sort of like a party game, but not quite, because it does require at least 6 people to play it. You are trying to convince people to join your cult and not somebody else's cult. That game was pretty fun. And the oddball game that I thought was pretty amazing was there is, believe it or not, a game based on Bigfoot. And when I say Bigfoot, I mean the monster truck, not Bigfoot, the abominable snowman Yeti creature. And the dice in the Bigfoot game are actually tires that you roll. It's
Tires?
Yeah, tires. They're and they feel like tires. And if I ever get my videos released, you'll see this because I actually stopped and talked to them about this. But they're shaped like a tire, and it feels like a rubber tire, and you roll it, and that game was super surprising to me, and that came out of nowhere because I didn't know they were making a game about Bigfoot. Because let's be honest, when is the last time you thought about the Bigfoot monster truck? You know what I mean? So it's like, did we need a game about Bigfoot? But it was fun, and I played a couple rounds of it. It works real well.
I'm stuck on this like mechanic of rolling a tire.
Yeah. It's 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 weird when you see it. It's super weird because it looks like two tires on an axle. And then but they roll real well. Yeah, it's you'll
Interesting. I'll have to
once
see
I
the
get
video.
my video done, you'll see it. And because I get like some close-ups of them, they were really well done. I was super impressed with it. So that game kind of caught me from nowhere because, like I said, I didn't even know that was coming out. So I think that was my three biggest games I can think of off the top of my head. I saw so many games there. There's so many games.
I mean, it's
As
good. That's
one
what you
does.
want to see at Gen Con, right? Lots of games.
Right, exactly. And that's people come out, and that's between Gen Con and Essen, which takes place in Germany, which actually is this weekend as well.
I think Carlito's at that,
That
isn't he?
No, that was Gamescom he
Oh,
was at.
okay.
So that was like the video game one of it that's in Germany, and then there's Essen, which is the board game. It's uh, Essen kind of Gen Con and Essen fight for over who's bigger. Essen claims they're the biggest one. Gen Con claims they're the biggest one. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see what numbers for Essen are. But Essen and Gen Con are where most of your tabletop publishers announce and bring out games. So if something doesn't come out at Essen, it's going to come out of Gen Con or vice versa. And then a lot of the times games are announced at Gen Con and then they'll be available for the first time at Essen or vice versa as well. So
The
lots of
American
games.
companies announce their and release their game at Gen Con, and the European companies release them at Essen.
Usually, but sometimes you know a couple of years ago, I can't remember what the game was. It was an American company. They announced it at Gen Con, and everybody thought, "Oh, that means it's going to be out this weekend." No, it was out at Essen like in 2 months, and people were like, "That's weird. It's usually the other way around." But hey, okay.
Yeah, okay, so 2 things about Gen Con that we haven't talked about that you want to make sure people know about.
Um, just if you haven't gone, if you're into tabletop gaming, be it board games, be it role playing games, go at least one time to Gen Con, even if it's for a day. You will have a blast. Everybody is so nice. It's ran well. Gen Con knows what they're doing because they've been doing 55 years of conventions. So they pretty much have it down. So just go.
Okay, well let's talk about that. I was gonna ask you this at the end, but
Sure.
so this is October 9th. Gen Con 2023 is when? Do we know?
Oh, yes. Hold on. I'm going to have to look it up to make sure I give the right dates because it changes a little bit
Right.
every year.
So while you're looking up that date,
Um,
the other thing that I wanna let people know is when should they be looking and keeping an eye on getting badges, hotels, flights, like that? Help people. Uh, I've never been. How do I get to Gen Con in a way that hopefully doesn't break the bank? And 2, I have somewhere to sleep.
okay. August 3rd through the 6th, 2023 are your key dates. Badges usually go on sale in January. So January of 23, that's when your badges will go on sale. I would suggest if you want to get a hotel room and you want to try to play what is called the Gen Con housing bingo, which if you buy a badge, you're registered for housing, and then they randomly assign times to you. And that's when you can try to rent the good local downtown hotels and get a little bit better price because it's in the Gen Con housing block. That usually happens end of February, early March. If you don't care about paying just a little extra, I would probably get my hotel room now if you don't want to try to do the housing block. And the housing block, it just depends on your luck because you could be way up high and you could be like in the first couple hours that housing opens, or you could be like, I didn't have to actually do it this year, but because my friend had already got a room for us. But my housing block that I was assigned to actually try to get a room was the last available time slot you could get. So I'm like, yeah, there ain't nothing going to be left then. So it's just, RNG. So take that how you will. But like I said, you can always just go, like if you have a preferred hotel, like maybe you really like Hilton hotels, for example. There is several Hiltons downtown in Indy. You can just go on their website and book your reservation. Like I said, you might pay a little more because you're not going to be in the quote unquote housing block. So it's usually a little cheaper. But to be honest, it's not that much cheaper because they jack their prices up because of Gen Con. So if you do want to save some money, wait for the housing block. That's usually end of February, early March. But you have to have a badge registered before you can actually get into the housing block.
It would be kind of interesting to kind of play a numbers game of like, is it actually if you have rewards and stuff? Is it a rewards program with a hotel? Is it better just to buy it outside the?
It actually would be because I bet it would be, especially if you have
Yeah,
rewards and stuff like that. I bet you could save a lot of money doing it that way.
yeah. So that might
And
be an
then,
option.
as far as airfare dates, I would book that as soon as I could as well too. Then again, you might save some money now if you book it early. because we know how that whole industry works and it fluctuates a lot. So
Well,
August
it
3rd through the 6th, you
fluctuates.
know your dates. Yeah.
It fluctuates, but the other thing to think about right now is like I just read a report going into like the Thanksgiving weekend. There's tens of thousands fewer flights going into that weekend. So like the airlines are scaling back because they don't have the manpower specifically to like have all those flights, and instead of having them delayed and canceled because they can't fill the pilot slots or the flight attendant slots or anything like that, they're just having fewer flights right now. So that could still be reverberating
It
in
could
August
very
this year.
well, yeah.
So
So if like I said, I wouldn't wait too long if you are seriously thinking about going. Get your tickets, look at your airline, and then consider if you want to pay the little extra. Go ahead and get your hotel room now. There is like a bunch of interconnected hotels downtown as well. So technically, what you can do is if you get in one of the interconnected hotels, you can actually get to the convention center from your hotel, and you never ever have to go outside if you don't want to. So because there's skywalks, so that what's nice are if you're staying out of town, there is several hotels within, a good 20-25 minute drive, give or take for traffic. So, and of course, those hotels are going to be a little cheaper. You could always do the Uber or whatever route to, or Lyft, whichever, if you don't want to drive from out of town. So there's several options for you, but don't wait too long if you're thinking about going.
unless there's a light rail from those places, I feel like you're going to spend as much transporting and paying for parking or a taxi or
Yeah.
whatever than if you just got a hotel
And
downtown.
yeah, exactly. Because if you're driving in and you're parking, average parking price is going to run you about $25.
That's not
So,
bad, actually.
so 20, and that's so yeah. There's that, and then there's other options you can do, but like a little further out parking, you might get a little cheap. But the good downtown parking is going to be $25 a day for you.
Yep. Anything else to mention about Gen Con?
No, like I said, it was surprising how many people were there, and I will eventually have videos up of all the interviews that I did with game companies at some point, I promise. But
And where can
life
people
and
find those
stuff.
videos?
DDOplayers.com. They will all be over there, and then they'll be on my YouTube channel, which will be linked on DDOplayers.com.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, so that's and you can find more stuff for DDO Players News there as well. A podcast that comes out at times.
Yeah, that, you know, we talked about it at the beginning of the show. Life happens.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we tend. I try to do a podcast every week, but yeah, no, we've not been weekly. But yeah, the goal is to be a weekly podcast. But here we are.
Mileage may vary depending on availability of news
Exactly.
and our own personal schedules. Kind of how it works
Yeah,
these days.
and if you're, I know I say this every time that I'm on your show, but if maybe you are unfamiliar with our podcast, we're a little different DDO podcast. We do talk about DDO, usually about the first. Then again, it depends on news and whatever's going on. But the first 10 to 15 minutes of our show is strictly DDO, and then we talk about tabletop and role playing games and video games, and sometimes movies and TV shows and comic books. So we talk about like all of the geeky stuff. And then, so yeah, we're not specifically DDO. So we're a little kind of a hybrid podcast, but it works somehow.
I'll also mention that it has a bit of a different perspective than
Yes,
DDOcast tends to have.
that is, yep, we are totally different in that aspect too.
You're getting two players and occasional guests that are spend less time at the end game than most of our guests do.
Yeah. Yeah, I won't say that we're new to DDO because we have both Pineleaf, my co-host, and I have been playing DDO for a long time. Like I played before it was free to play. So I mean, I've been playing DDO forever, but I don't, like you said, I don't tend to do raids. I don't tend to, min max my characters. So we're kind of coming at it in that aspect of maybe a more casual player than what you tend to get a little more crunchier and stuff with stuff, which is good. So you kind of have, it kind of balances out to where we have both sides covered on the different podcasts, which are good.
Yep. Yeah. I think the casual players is a good moniker. You both have a lot of other interests and do a lot of other games. Most of the people that are on DDOCast tend to really focus on DDO.
Right.
So
Right.
we live and breathe it here.
But like I said, somehow it works, and I think it works well because we have both sides covered, and the community supports both of us, so it's great.
There's space for both. So,
It is, exactly. Always room for more.
all right, so we're gonna close out the show here. Is there anything else you want to plug? I mean, we already did DDO Players News.
Yeah, no, just DDOplayers.com podcast. Normally, like I said, comes out Wednesdays. Try to, but sometimes it's not. But yeah, just all the information you need is over on DDOplayers.com. You can find all the articles we put up, all the Gencon videos that I'll eventually get out will be up there. Podcast is there. Everything you need to know, DDOplayers.com.
And we'll get Drac playing and I playing DDO here in the not too distant future, hopefully, and pick up on that leveling project.
Got plans for that, and I'm excited because I've missed playing, and I actually have this brand new gaming computer now, so need to put it through its paces with all these raids. So let's do it. I'm ready.
I'm excited to torture you in the pit and Crucible.
I'm sure you are. I can't wait for those.
I already actually ran the pit, so you're fine.
Okay.
Anyways, thanks for listening to the show. Thanks to Drac for joining me today, and to all the folks who helped make DDOCast happen. To Stay in Some Games, Wizards of the Coast, and CyberIsh for hosting the podcast. If you'd like to support the show, you can visit our website at DDOcast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. If you have a DDO-themed webpage, or you Twitch DDO and you'd like to be featured on our website, send me an email at DDOcast@gmail.com. We'd be happy to do that for you. Hit us up at DDOcast.com for our show notes, MP3. MP3 is our calendar, previous shows, and other fun stuff, including our adventures in DDO and our D&D tabletop adventures. Kind of figure out when we're going to do the next Tomb of Annihilation. We'll be doing that. If you have a comment on this episode, a question that you hear us answer, a topic you'd like to hear us discuss, or you just want to say hi, leave a comment or email us at DDOcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media and follow our latest cast updates at DDOcast on Twitter is the best place. So until next time, all your attack rolls be crits, all your chest level appropriate, have fun, and don't forget to gather for boss.